All right, we're rolling.
Awesome. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Apollo Challenge podcast. I'm here with my co-creator and co-host, Will Coffin. I'm Kyle Bracey, and we are absent a seat today. Brett Bates is gone to Germany. So, Brett, we just want to let you know we miss you deeply.
Yeah, we're sad to not have him here, but we will try and soldier on without him.
Yeah. I hope he's enjoying himself. He actually delayed his trip to Germany a week to exonerate himself last week with the whole Skittles fiasco. But I know he's out there. I saw some pictures on social media, and it looks like they're having a good time.
How can you not?
Today's episode is going to be purely for the Apollo Challenge user and some of the unique questions that we receive. So we're going to get right into it. Will's going to ask a question. I'm going to ask a question, and we'll respectfully answer them and get right to it.
Yeah. So first question we've got is for you, Kyle. So the question is, can you explain the 4010 tempo to me? So that's going to be your day twos of the week. You mentioned a couple times, but a quick demonstration explanation would be great.
Yeah, sure. So we designate tempo for an exercise just so an individual is able to understand how fast it's to be performed. So if you look at the 4 sets of numbers, the first one represents the eccentric phase of the movement. So if you think about a muscle and you think about a rubber band, the eccentric is going to be when that muscle's at its longest. So for the purpose of this explanation, we'll just take biceps curl. And so the 4 seconds is going to occur while that bicep muscle is getting longer. Now the 0 represents the next phase, which is when the muscle's at its longest. So we're saying that we're going to spend 0 time at the bottom, and then we're going to go right into the concentric phase, which is the shortening phase of the muscle, and we're going to, lift the weight up in 1 second. And again, we got a 0 following the 1, so we're going to spend 0 time at the top, and we're going to go back into that 4-second lowering phase. Now, the intention there is to spend more time in that eccentric phase to have muscle microtrauma with the hopes that we're eliciting a growth phase. All right, and so the cool thing about that is that it allows us to really vary up the exercises. We touch on some articles on muscle confusion. Well, tempo is the most unique way to change that up. And as far as assigning numbers to weights, just truth be told, is that we tend to count a lot faster when we're lifting, and so 4 seconds often turns into 3. So I'll often overshoot when I'm training somebody to add a second or two, but just because I know their rate's going to increase as they fatigue. But mindfulness when you're performing the exercise is critical.
Oh, that's fantastic. Sorry, I'm wrong. We're missing a slot here on the video. So Brett, whenever we go to black, that's like pouring out for Brett. That's awesome. I think that's really helpful to explain. And just kind of even see a simple demo sitting here just to get people's heads and to really think about taking their time.
And so if you're listening on audio, right, you're just thinking about that shortening phase and that being the peak at the third number. The cool thing about once you learn the sets of numbers and how they operate is that you can really have some fun in changing up the workouts, and then it also brings about that mindfulness, because that's what you don't want to lose when you go in for a workout, is where you kind of shut down and you just are going through the motions, and the weight's actually dictating the speed of the movement as opposed to you, right? And then we lose that mind-body connection, and that's one thing that the sport of bodybuilding actually can reinforce and teach really well, is that control, because those guys are really having to work hard to activate specific muscles, and being in tune with that throughout the set takes some mental acuity as well as that physical vigor to execute. So
right, and there's science that links the more you are aware and present, the stronger the neural link between your brain and the muscle being activated, and so you're going to activate it more fully. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you'll get more out of it.
Absolutely. We're going to turn to Will on this next question. get to start off, talk about food, which is always a fun topic. What are good go-to meals to order out for lunch at common restaurants? We'll say Chipotle, Panera as a couple of examples.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is an important skill to learn in the program, is figure out, how are you going to adapt to life?
Sure.
How are you going to fit the program into your daily life? And so Chipotle is a great one. That's an easy one. Definitely start with a salad. So do the salad base, add the fajitas, which is the peppers and onions, to add some extra volume there. Another thing is you can choose your meat. Chipotle does a pretty nice job of choosing higher quality meats than most fast food chains. So, but I would still go. The chicken's probably the way to go there. The chicken or the steak. If you're eating out not that often, I'd go chicken or steak. It's definitely not going to be grass fed. But like I said,
are you typically asking for extra oil?
For extra oil.
Yeah, Chipotle. Are you adding any oil to your salad?
Well, they don't have a great option as far as like salad dressings go. So I usually just let the toppings be the dressing. So going down the line, order salad, you add your proteins. I usually add pico in there, and then a little medium salsa to get some heat, which is good. And then I definitely add the guac on there, and that guac is gonna be your main source of
fat,
the healthy fats, and they do a good job of really loading it on. So add that guac and you're good to go. And I'll order it with, even if I'm staying there, I'll order it to go so I can cover it and then shake it up so it kind of really tosses it nicely, and that works out well for me.
I don't eat at Chipotle very much. What's the additional charge for guacamole?
I want to say it's like $1.50 or something. Okay. It's not crazy. I mean,
not
there's an
crazy.
Extra charge, but it's not crazy. I mean, it's good value considering the plop they give you of guac. It's pretty good value.
Gotcha. Okay. I asked because one of my favorite comic skits is Sebastian Maniscalco, and he talks about the look you get from the Chipotle server when they have to tell you that you're going to charge you for extra guac, and so at some point that they serve somebody who is very, very unhappy that they had to pay for the extra avocado. So.
Yes. Small
and then we also had in there Panera, which is a popular solution. So
yeah, Panera's a great. Panera has more and more like awesome salad options. Their menu changes often, so trying to and it's kind of varies by location sometimes. So I would say, and this is good for any restaurant you're gonna eat at, is look at the ingredients, and they should be really simple. I think the last time I was there, they had like a farmhouse salad that was greens. I think it had some egg, chicken, and then just a really simple vinaigrette. And even you can just have it switch for olive oil and vinegar, and just keep it really simple. They could basically, you can build a power salad there.
Right.
So another good option is if Panera can be a little skimpy on the proteins, so if you want to double your meat, that's probably going to be good to make sure you hit your daily protein goals.
Okay.
Same thing can go for Chipotle, depending on the timing of that. So obviously there's going to be an upcharge for that as well. But, the meals cost a little more when you add the extra protein and you really do them the way you want. Added the avocado and all that, the olive oil on there.
But you're setting yourself up for success because you're avoiding getting hungry later in the day, right?
Absolutely.
So and you got peace of mind in that, right? The intention is to sit down and get satisfied.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is have a dinky salad and then you're still out and you're craving you're at Panera walking past the bakery section and you give into your cravings. You don't have a nice hearty solid salad. Salad shouldn't be dinky. It's kind of a waste of time to eat just a little pile of greens. Add some good proteins, add some good fats on there, and be aware of, a lot of times you're actually better off asking specifically for olive oil and vinegar, because you're going to get olive oil. A lot of the dressings that some of the fast food or quick food chains,
fast casual
offer are going to be based on like canola oil or soybean oil, and obviously that's stuff we want to avoid. So going straight to the olive oil and vinegar is definitely a good bet. And then even just add a little salt and pepper on top of that, and that's plenty of flavor for me.
One quick solution I'll throw in that I found with going out to like bar and grills or pubs for lunch. This can often even be challenging to find a good salad topping, but they're always really good at making wings, so they always have available buffalo sauce. It makes for a nice little salad topping when you're really pinched for a choice. So they'll just throw that one out there.
Yeah, buffalo's great. Kind of non-traditional toppings, but it's just butter and hot sauce.
Yeah,
can't go wrong.
Yeah, and really, really satisfying if you can handle the heat. So
right, if that's your thing. All right, cool. So let's move on to the next one. If I have any more thoughts on that, we'll come back. But let's move on to the next one. The next question's for Kyle. User asks, I'm a freelance web developer and I work from home. I have complete flexibility in choosing when I go work out. Is there a best time to get my workout in? And is there any special timing for BCAAs, Smart Coffee, XPG shakes, or Apollo Salad to consider? Yeah. Alongside that. So
I've received this question ever since I started giving guidance on when should I work out, and the simple answer to that is when you have the most amount of energy, when you're hitting your energy peak throughout the day, right, during the day. The problem with that is that sometimes for an individual that's not when they have available time to work out, right? Life kind of runs. Our life is typically run by our work, right?
Yeah,
and so having to organize around that. So the second part of that answer was, or the time of the day when you can create the most energy, okay? And what I mean by that is when you have the least amount of distractions. So that's why you'll find individuals create it in the morning, for themselves upon getting out of bed. I'll admit that's not the time where I'm at my energy peak, but if I can create that energy during that part of the day, that's the time of the day that I have the least amount of distractions, so I can get the most out of the workout. And I often find that individuals just create better habits sometime before lunch to get their workout in, because that's consistent over time and they don't have the interruptions, and they're able to create that habit. So that's
there's less time for the day to get away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Or for the day to get to you as well. If you're having to spend your day troubleshooting an issue, it's hard to step in the gym and then just shut that out of your mind, right?
Sure.
So now the gym can actually work with you positively on that and actually help you come up with a solution, but it's not the best habit to start. So is there a second part of that question?
Just in considering and trying to pick the time to work out, is there anything on top of that, like specifically for, BCA, Smart Coffee, XPG, Apollo Salad? Like, is there a way to stack these in a way that you're going to have kind of the most amount of bang for your buck?
Sure. Well, I think that's kind of the beauty of the Smart Coffee, right? Is that after you consume it, or there's two ways to consume it. And you and I are very different, right? There's me, who's gonna make a Smart Coffee, and before 3 minutes, I've already downed it. Okay, and then there's Will, who's gonna make a Smart Coffee. It's gonna be in a thermos, and he's gonna consume it over the course of hour and a half, 2 hours?
Probably half an hour.
Half an hour.
Because
okay.
It does get cold. And I need that kick in the morning.
Yeah, and that heat helps, right? And so I'm going to hit my peak really fast on that Smart Coffee, but it's going to be sustained, right? And so I like doing that first thing, and then the workout will commence. But that's where the key is in finding out what your belly tolerates, because we can go couple different ways with the amino acids, the branch chain amino acids. We can go pill form, okay, we can go powdered form. And so typically if you go back-to-back liquids, that makes it challenging. So if you're doing Smart Coffee and then 10 minutes later you're drinking water, that's
12 ounces of water
with BCAAs, the stomach just doesn't agree, right? Yeah. And so that's where the pills really are favorable. Just strategies like that. You just really have to find out what's agreeing with your body and how you're performing throughout your workout. Everybody's really unique with their gut and how they're going to respond. But it is key for workout performance to get in aminos before and then after, and then also during, if that's an opportunity. So
So would you say, ideally, we recommend waking up, getting your BCAAs in, getting your smart coffee in, and then would you say that, and that's probably easiest to be done with the pills.
Right.
So, you have to take, what is there, 8 or 10, depending on the brand of branched chain amino acids to get the 5 grams in. But, and then during the workout, are you better off? Because, I've gone both ways, either taking another round of pills right before the workout or, doing the liquid BCAAs.
Yeah, the liquid's very satiating intra-workout. Like during the workout, it's very satiating, and I find that to be a good solution too.
Yeah, so
but it's just like
it's a water bottle with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, and it falls under that clause is like how much preparation is necessary. So if that's something you can prepare for and do on a daily basis, then go forth with that. I think the key again is hitting those habits where it happens all the time, so you have that repeatability. Because if you don't have that repeatability, then you can't really garner any insight into how you're performing, because everything changes, right? Science experiments aren't very reliable if the execution is different each and every time, right? So it's the same thing with your workout. You can't really tell what the detriment is to your energy level, right? If your sleep's off, right? Or if you're consuming different foods all the time. So
sure. And then I think the other thing to consider is like, we should actually we'll add to the website a recommendation for the powdered BCAAs, because I think right now we just have the pills on there.
Yeah, so I do want to touch on that too, because the problem with anything pre-workout or amino acids, and we talk about it in our book, is that there's what was it? How many different names of sugars? Were there 50 something or 60 something?
It was 60s or 70s.
Okay, and that was when we're saying that, is it different names or different artificial sweeteners as well, which is effectively react the same. And so a lot of the pre-workouts or branched chain amino acids will have that flavor in there. So I like the unflavored because it's void of any of those fake sugars or sweeteners, and then I actually will sweeten it myself with either lemon juice or lime juice to give it that little bit of flavor, and it's actually better, right? Yeah. And so anyways, that's a solution as well. A little splash of even just the smallest splash of like a pineapple juice, it would carry you a long way. Okay, and I know we don't
just trying to cover the bitterness.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be, the BCAAs by itself can be a little bit bitter
to
get down.
Yeah, absolutely. So just anything you can create to make it a little more palatable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I think the message here is avoid some of those prepackaged BCAA products that are overpowered with flavor and fake sweeteners and whatever other additives they have. Yeah. So we'll recommend. I think the Extend brand that we recommend right now has a great unflavored, unsweetened.
I have found that one to be sometimes challenging to find in stock. Okay. But go the route of unflavored. One more knock on the conglomerate, pre-workouts or BCAAs is anytime you're taking a powdered form and you're trying to bring in the best of everything, it's very hard to have a consistent measuring stick. So some days you may be getting, if it was a pre-workout, right, you may be getting more caffeine just because the way the product itself is mixed in the vat, right, and how it's distributed. So those are always concerns, and that's why we like to keep it simple with just the branched chain amino acid. Very reliable, very consistent, and we're going to go ahead and get that initial energy spike from the smart coffee. So it just makes for a really succinct and effective training pre-workout drink.
Yeah, that is that's the way I'm doing it right now, and kind of my daily routine. I'm typically getting a workout. I'll either go first thing in the morning, I'll go at lunch. I'll kind of vary right now, but for a while I was very consistent at doing it like first thing in the morning, before heading to the office at like 6:30. And there's something for me about getting up, having the smart coffee, getting the BCAAs. Within 15 minutes of those two things, I am feeling awesome and I'm ready to hit the gym. And so that was kind of my like pre-workout stack, if you will, to get in, because the caffeine is going to help with muscle activation, all that, from the smart coffee. The BCAAs are going to help, with energy and restoration. So that was kind of like that worked out really well for me. I felt really powerful, but that's also going to depend on how well you slept the night before. So if you're not getting sleep well the night before and you don't have the energy in the morning to get going, maybe it takes you till getting through your power salad and a second cup of coffee to really feel peak power. So I think to answer this question, choose the time. It seems like choose the time that you feel the most energetic, and that's if we were to generalize the time, it's probably going to be
take a hint.
It should be. You should be at the peak of your energy when you wake up because you've had the whole night to restore. If you're getting, especially with the spike of
caffeine,
coffee,
and research shows time and time again, caffeine increases power. So increase power, go work out. You put up bigger weights, get stronger. So to keep it brief, right? So. Here's a question for Will. I'm really struggling with making my food taste good. It always comes out tasting the same, and I'm getting bored with it. Will, help us out.
That is okay. So, first, I'd say, make sure you've tried everything that we outline in the book. Outside, other than just salt and pepper. You really can get some really good flavor in there with turmeric, paprika, a little cayenne. If you're not into heat, then take the cayenne off. Garlic, onion, all of that creates a really, really full flavor. But I totally understand that especially if you're going through the challenge for your second or third time to try and hit your goals, it can get a little monotonous. Some of the things that I like to do is you can look at some, and this is so individual that it's hard to kind of say, oh, you should definitely do this, because if I recommended like an Indian ethnic seasoning, somebody might not be a huge fan of that. But there are some really great ethnic seasoning preparations you can go with. There's some good Indian preparations. There's some good Mexican, Latin preparations. If you're on the Latin side, if you're looking for kind of an easy off-the-shelf seasoning, adobo is a great one, and that's pretty simple. That's pretty similar to the kind of the Apollo Challenge seasoning stack with I think I don't think it has paprika in it. I think it's got cumin. So it's a little variation there, but that can be really good on your meat. The other thing is, if you go to our website, and I actually just printed it off here, if you go to apollochallenge.com/foods and you look at the herbs list, there are, I don't have the count, so that was a bad way to start this conversation, but there are dozens and dozens of options.
Say 4 dozen.
So it takes 2 pages to print it off. So everything from to go with an Italian seasoning based on basil, onion, garlic, with your salt and pepper. That can kind of give you, and you can go with, a basic Italian seasoning blend that you can get at the store is going to be a great option if you kind of want that simpler flavor. It's, that's going to be void of sugar. That's the biggest thing. It's just make sure if you look at like a pre-made seasoning that doesn't have sugar on the label, or sugar or molasses, or cane sugar, honey, rice syrup extra. There's all sorts of all those names for hiding sugar in there. And a lot of times you'll notice that if they've got a nutrition label on them, that they'll have a few carbs in them if they've got sugar, and so you just kind of want to avoid that.
So let's go full disclosure. When we were creating the challenge, and there's for getting success, we wanted to give enough information to hit on the fundamentals, but we didn't want to put out so much it was overkill. And so that's why for the foods we have a limited scope initially. That being said, we also encourage you to spend a little bit of money on your foods, right? So hopefully rewarding yourself with really good meats. And you'll notice in each of the cooking videos that Will's real specific on the meat temperature, because if you're really putting thought and effort into producing a really good cook on your food, it should taste really good, right? You should be bringing out the flavor of the beef. You should be bringing out the flavor of the chicken and not overcooking. And those are really key over time. And so I can't encourage you enough to use a meat thermometer. And if you
Absolutely.
aren't, you're really, really missing out, because then and only then are you able to consistently cook to your own palate, right? And so, Will's gonna like his meat at a certain temperature. I'm gonna like mine. Chicken's a big one that I find always overcooked.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
there's that breaking point when you're cooking chicken where it can go from really good to not so good in a matter of a minute or two longer in the oven, okay, or on the skillet. Same thing with your steak. So just taking note of that and putting thought in that. That Thermopen that Will has is a real quick, easy solution, low mess. You got a simple wipe down after it's used, and it's back and ready to go, and it has an instant reading. So getting into that and stepping into that, just like you would your workout, being mindful of it,
Right.
because once you mess it up, you gotta eat it, right? So
Yeah, that's the thing, is cooking is a science. It's very specific. Learning how to use a meat thermometer, it seems silly to learn how to use a meat thermometer, but learning and to incorporate a meat thermometer into the way I cooked was a game changer.
Sure.
Because it means that I can consistently produce delicious food. I'm not wasting cuts of meat because I'm trying to do like a finger test on my steaks, and then I went 2 minutes too long, and I prefer a medium rare steak.
Sure.
And it ends up well done, and it's it's like chewing on beef jerky.
Oh, once you actually overcook it, it's a bit of a frustrating moment, right?
It's a shame. You're going to buy high quality foods. You should really
you're spending money on it.
Yeah.
So take that measure. And another thing we'll touch on is ensure that you're consuming enough fat, right? The fat should be really appeasing to your palate, right as soon as you eat it. So ensure that you're getting enough fats. A little bit of salt with that fat should go a long way in making it really enjoyable.
Absolutely. So just keep experimenting with what works for you. That's kind of the moral of this. And we'll put up some more recipes as we go along here on the website. That'll kind of give you some options as far as seasoning goes. Same ingredients, just different ways of putting it together. But add it, do it to your flavor. And then, like I think we mentioned last week or a week before, some of the I'll call them sauces, but avoiding just generally recommending sauces, but specifically hot sauce, mustard. Those are great ways to kind of kick it up.
And you'll find out there plenty of ways to adapt some of your favorite foods, your favorite meals and combinations to the provisions of the diet. So we have those adaptations. My wife is phenomenal at making those for the meals. So she surprised me every week with something new that she's done. I thought, man, that actually, if I don't have it right in front of me, it's a unique combination, but if you would have given me the other alternative, I'd still pick, her provision.
This new version,
right?
Yeah.
And on top of it, the way I feel afterwards, right? Yeah, so that makes a big difference.
That's the key there. Absolutely. Okay, so next question. Where are we? Next question is for Kyle. I'm not confident in performing the Zapman curls correctly. I've had this from a couple users. When am I supposed to rotate my wrists? And how are my arms supposed to travel in relation to my torso? So this is really just clarifying.
Yeah, just simple. So this was taught to me real well by my college strength and conditioning coach. And so if you think about your hand position, okay, we're going to go supinate or pronate. And the easiest way to remember this that I was taught was supinate is going to hold a bowl of soup, right? So you're going to have your palm facing up to hold that bowl of soup, okay? If you think about pronate, think about what you do pouring it out, all right? So at the peak of the movement, you're going to actually have your hands supinated. And then at the bottom of the movement, or as you're taking your hand down, is when you're going to pour it away from your body. So think about, if you were to, lift liquid up or a jar up, right, you'd keep it up near you and you'd pour it out away from you, okay? The same concept would apply in the Zapman curls. Once you reach the peak, you're in that fully supinated position. You can't turn your pinky anymore, okay? And then as you lower, you're gradually going to turn down. Now, in regards to your arms in relationship to your torso, think about being nice and wide, having your shoulders fill up a doorway. way, and then that'll actually bring your arms just slightly off your rib cage, okay? And so you'll actually get what we call serratus anterior activation, and it should be like that boxer position where you really fill up a doorway, and you're going to control with your bicep on the way down. Once you reach the bottom, then you're going to go ahead and start the process up again and go in that supinated position. So I hope that helped.
So palms up on the way up.
Yep.
Palms down
on the way down.
On the way down.
And the reason we're going palms down on the way down is just to incorporate more forearm activation on the muscles of the forearm and getting those involved throughout the week, right? Because on day 1 and day 3, you're just going your typical biceps curl, and we're not going to get as heightened activity there. And so that's actually a day on day 2 where you're going to go the 4:0-1:0 tempo, so they're really going to be exhausted. So one of the challenges on the Zapman curls is picking the appropriate weight over the course of the sets, because those are smaller muscle groups, and when they fatigue out fast. And so don't overshoot on that, and then and just expect that. And that's a really good opportunity for you to mindfully overcome that fatigue, because when you have an onset of fatigue in those smaller muscles and they fail quick. You're not able to recruit because you're isolated so well.
Awesome.
All right, Will, can you clarify when and how I should be taking the BCAAs, how much, and does it depend on when I work out? I think we kind of touched on that.
Yeah, I think we really covered most of this. I'll just reiterate, because I don't know that I saw those two questions interacting. But yeah, so wake up and get your 5 grams in with your Smart Coffee.
Yeah.
And then the second round, you're gonna if it's a workout day, you're gonna have another round of BCAAs immediately before or during your workout. So that's gonna be either a round of pills right before you get into your workout, or it's going to be that liquid BCA or the powdered BCA that you'll mix into water and consume throughout your workout.
Yeah, and we've actually had conversations before on the efficacy of branched-chain amino acids for actually neural activity, right? Mm-hmm. So if your day is absent of branched-chain amino acids for whatever reason, whether it was because you forgot or maybe you ran out, what have you, take note of how you felt that day, and then what happens when you plug them back into your life and see if you don't notice a difference. Again, that's just that data that we're trying to acquire over time and how things are really reacting to our body. So we're stepping outside and really watching how all these influences change the way we feel and perform. So
yeah, it definitely affects the way I feel in the morning when I don't take them.
Mm-hmm.
It adds to my energy level, and it also adds to my kind of just general sense of satiation throughout the morning. You know,
right.
I even in the earlier stages of getting into the diet, I don't have the hunger pangs as much.
Yeah.
When I make sure I remember to take the BCAAs, so it helps to kind of prolong the fast as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that answers that. If not, make sure, you know, if we don't fully answer any of these questions, just reach out to us on the Facebook page, or, you know, put it in the comments on this video. You know, we can dive as deep as you guys want into any of these topics.
Yeah, and get on the website, interact with the question that way, because when we're going to try and answer to help you out, and then that question will be there forever to help another user as they're plugging through the website.
Absolutely. All right, we got another question for Kyle. Are there appropriate times to make substitutions? If so, how and when? It's pretty broad, but there's the last part is, I have a back injury and I'm not sure how to modify the program to my needs.
Okay, so I'll take the substitutions as it regards to exercises, right?
Okay.
So so when we look at the exercise menu for the week, we go from upper body to lower body, and then we go through the arm circuit. And so we want to really keep that structure. The substitutions I would avoid unless there is something that is directly causing you pain. And if there is something directly causing you pain, let's just take an exercise. Let's say reverse lunges, okay? Let's say those are are aggravating you in some realm. So there's a couple things. I don't get to watch you perform the technique, so I can't see and uncover what might be, the trigger there. I would encourage that individual, if they're, just getting back into the exercise, is to restrict the range of motion. Okay, find out where that point of pain is, and don't go as low into that period. So that way, one, we're creating the habit, so we're getting consistency over time, and two, we're priming your body for optimal movement, because we're not going in those points of pain which are likely where the movement dysfunction is occurring. So, we tend to exercise just like water, go to the path of least resistance, because of whatever restrictions we have, movement restrictions in our body, and sometimes that's what is actually driving and perpetuating more pain. So I would say restrict range of motion, stick with the exercise menu as best you can, get your reps in, get your sets in, create that sense of accomplishment from both a mental standpoint, and then two, remember, this isn't just 28 days and done. You're really trying to recreate the way you structure your workouts over time, and just going in there and getting work done goes a long way. So a long way for your confidence, and then a long way into building stamina, because if we're really building a brick wall, one's going to be laid a little better than the next, just because of that repeatable process.
Right. Yeah, I think what I take from that is, don't, assuming it's not a major injury, and obviously this should be under supervision from your doctor, your physical therapist, someone who can, if you have a major injury, you should definitely see a specialist. But for a lot of people, like they will either they'll compromise their activity because of an injury, and then it compounds and makes it worse.
Right.
And they'll repeat that injury, and really, like, by staying in a full body, really working your whole body, staying in a full body workout program like the Apollo Challenge is laid out. It's covering all your bases. You're not only going to get stronger, you'll continue to prevent injury by strengthening all those areas. And so kind of, not pushing through it in the sense of pushing through pain, but not letting injury deter you from continued activity.
Yeah, exercise is generally good, right? A lot of great adaptations occur. Pain relief is actually one of them, as long as you're not participating in the specific activity that's driving increased pain, right? So if we can create, a favorable response with your heart rate, if we incorporate the supporting muscle structures, strengthen those, will also help avoid that pain. So there's really that fine line, and it's very hard to be specific in answering these. But I will say that, and to build off of what Will had mentioned, seeking help, whether for an injury via a doctor or a physical therapist, is that the challenges most people face in those are that they're singular visits or very few. That being said, the physical therapists that I know and work with are really good about giving homework, and it's up to the individual to take those exercises home and perform them with some consistency, because it's not a magic, right? It's not magic pill. It's really consistency over time. And that being said is just a reminder of how critical the warm-up is of the Apollo Challenge. Not skipping that, making that a habit for two reasons. One, to prepare for the workout, and then two, to just take note as you're performing all those maybe simple movements, how you're actually feeling during those, because those are going to be really telling, especially once we go ahead and put ourselves under load. And what I mean by load is weight, right? So before we start, load bearing, let's go ahead and make sure that the movement is clean and achievable.
That makes a lot of sense. And I found the more consistent I have been in the program, the less injury prone I have been. I definitely had, and this will probably in the second half of this question, but this is just personal anecdotal evidence. I definitely used to have, just kind of a nagging. Every once in a while, I'd do something to my back, I'd tweak it, and I'd be out for a couple. I'd be really, dysfunctional for a couple of weeks because, my range of movement would be limited. I'd have pain. The more consistent I am in staying in the program, staying strong, staying active and moving with the program under load, and I'm building muscle at the same time, the less I haven't had that issue in honestly years now.
Right.
And it used to be a consistent problem. Even in my early 20s, it was a consistent problem, which means that I was doing something wrong.
Sure.
And so now that I've adapted to this kind of lifestyle and staying, everything from the warm-ups to the core exercises to the full body stuff, like I really, knock on wood, like I don't have those issues anymore because I'm active.
Sure. Yeah, no, that is key. Everything that we say out loud to ourselves is really just an excuse if we're not getting there and get it done. And hey, I'm just as guilty as the next guy. You can really, find a way, not an excuse. But I go into the next question here for Will is I can't find organic versions of the produce mentioned in the book. What should I buy?
So this is something I think everyone's going to struggle with, and I struggle with myself, and where I've lived at different places at different times and had access to different supermarkets, and it can be the difference of does the local corner supermarket have what you want, or do you have to drive 10 or 15 minutes to go to a chain that has what you're looking for? I would say the biggest thing here is see what you have access to, and so that you don't have to you shouldn't have to make a half an hour trip to go find organic produce. That's kind of that will deter you from even starting the program. So as far as like the pecking order of what we want to focus on. That being said, most grocery stores now do have an expansive organic section, and so you can make some substitutions for some of the vegetables that we've outlined in the program. And once again, we'll go right back to the website, apollochallenge.com/foods, and there's the full list of vegetables, and any of these in an organic variety are going to be a great option to make some changes. So the one thing that I've noticed is very seasonal and does come and go with organics is like the summer squash and zucchini isn't always available, and that was because it's like anything, the only reason it's available year-round is because it's being shipped from other countries and other, the other hemisphere where it happens to be in season.
Right.
And that they didn't used to ship organic produce that way. It used to be mostly the conventional stuff. And now that the demand has increased for organics, you see that more and more. But it's still coming from South America or the other half, the counterpart to wherever you are in the world. If you're in the southern hemisphere or the northern hemisphere. So. So a lot of these there are a lot of good options as far as making some substitutions for organic.
And if you don't find it, find the next best option and don't sweat it. It shouldn't drive any more stress in your life. It's just about finding just the next best solution. So
and adapting. That's another kind of next level thing. Adapting to this sort of whole food, low carb, dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free diet is that's where your changes is going to happen. And so the organic versus conventional is really kind of another icing on the cake to limit your kind of your toxin exposure and all that sort of stuff.
Try and minimize your toxic burden. So
right.
Well, buddy, we did it, and we did it without bread.
We did. Let's see if we even
wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but we did it without you, buddy. So
we'll be happy to have you back.
We'll be happy to have you back. I'll let you give your parting shots.
All right. Well, once again, if you guys have more questions for us, reach out to us on Facebook, on YouTube, on the website, wherever it's easiest for you. We would appreciate it if you subscribed to our YouTube channel. There's a button somewhere around here to do that. We also are working to be a little more active on our Instagram feed, so you'll see some exciting new stuff from us there in the next couple of weeks. So definitely follow us on Instagram. The book is available on Amazon. Just search for Apollo Challenge on Amazon.com. And check it back in with us next week. Same time, same place, 7:15 a.m. next Tuesday morning, YouTube Live. And if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you'll get a notification when we go live. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.